Listen and view on DBS Radio Facebook Live and on YouTube. Give us 90 minutes and we will strengthen the connection between Dominicans residing in the lovely Nature Isle and Dominicans residing abroad. National Broadcaster DBS continues its quest to highlight and celebrate the achievements of Dominicans. We will discuss the highs and lows, the challenges and successes. Give us 90 minutes and we will solidify the connections we share with Dominicans all over. Anu celebrate achievement Dominice Tuwo Latte. Connecting the dots. Tune in this Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Come join us as we weave a tapestry and strengthen our connections. ASU Radio DBS.
Stories have been told.
People, and rising everyone. And so we welcome you to Connecting the Dots on DBS Radio. CTD family, Connecting the Dots family, fans, regular listeners and viewers, first-time listeners and viewers, those who have avoided demerits and detentions, welcome. Those checking the vibes on social media, to you listening to the radio or via television, bienvenue tout le monde. I greet you on this lovely day in the Commonwealth. Nice vibes. We got a little sprinkle in the past few days, but I tell you, you can do it for shower now, especially at night, eh? And it's so hot, there's a heat in the place. I wonder how Nigel is feeling right now, if there's a heat where he is. Let me find out. Nigel, come a while, let me give you a story.
What's up? What's up?
I'm fine, what about you?
I am doing well. It's another beautiful Saturday, so I'm even doing better, you know what I mean?
All right, Nigel, you hear me clearly, right?
Yes, I hear you clearly.
Okay.
You hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you. I can see you as well, Nigel.
You can see me? Okay.
Yes.
You seeing, you hearing? Okay,
Yes.
bike cat down, so that's good.
Yeah, the bike
We
cat
can
is
see
down.
each other. Yes.
Hey, Nigel, you know hearing what Etelsia say? You know, which
Tell me.
Etelsia?
Kimonsa?
Etelsia. No, seriously, Nigel, what does this remind you of? That Etelsia. You never heard this thing, this word? Like, if you want, you don't want to call somebody's name. So
You give
just
them a name, you
Yes.
call them a name so nobody will know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you remember how
Yeah.
back in the day, Nigel, in the Laku in particular, it was like Roro for swear.
Oh, yes.
When people used to away and beat their tongue, like, against the upper part of their mouth.
There
And,
you go.
sweeten a story. Nigel, you remember those days?
Yes,
Like a
yes,
bet,
yes. You
you
make
know?
the story got sweeter by the time it reached somewhere. But yes.
Yes, I tell you, we good to any Commonwealth. Because the Laku, Nigel, the Laku in particular, or by the road, they were the main meeting points. And it was in these places that you learn so many things. Most of the time, strictly rumors, but you learn a lot.
Yes, good death.
Good Beth, I tell you. So it was more like a free village, Nigel, and this made a significant impact on our culture because it was through these communities that people learned, how to live. So you'd hear things like, I giving it to you as I get it. or girl, trust me when I tell you, there is no smoke without fire. Things like that. Or
Yes.
is
So I
nothing
get it,
easy.
so I telling
So I get it, so I saying it. So you had to learn to carve back into the Nigel, and to find a spot
Yes,
in a popular
yes.
group, because if you could not carve, or what did the boys do back then?
What
They
did the
were rumor
boys do? The
mongers as well,
boys,
they
for
were
sure, the
fogging
boys
them.
were not carrying. What did the boys do?
Well, some of
Let
them
me
will
see.
forget their place. We and carve.
We had a few, yes.
Yes,
But
of course.
yes,
But
yes.
really, these things made us who we are. I mean, these cultural norms were handed down by our great grandparents, our ancestors, and maybe even the slaves, Nigel, as well. Just imagine a house slave telling a field slave that I'm going to cook the food, but I will be eating all the meat. Something like that, a little bit. And after, I will put whatever blue clacks in the. Nigel, what is blue
Yes.
clacks? Is it blue
Blue
clacks?
clack. Is it blue clacks
I
or
don't
blue
know,
clacks?
I don't know the correct name.
I know it's something that will make you go off. Is it blue clacks? Maybe they can help us. Our friends always help us out. So tell us if it's blue clacks or blue clacks or whatever you call it.
Yes, we need to know.
That was a famous thing.
I cannot remember the exact, if it's blue clacks or, but it sounded like that though.
But I know it have a clacks with it for sure.
Yes.
Yes,
Blue clacks.
but I don't remember the exact thing. But I'm pretty sure they will tell us in a little while.
Yes. But Nigel, yes, we can laugh at these things, but there is a serious side as well. Because I truly believe that we need to embrace the history and tell the stories to the younger generation, to the young people, particularly. Yeah. So yes, we talk about the birth and the Tory, but there was more to it. For our parents, because as children back in the day, you had to find your place. That was not your place. You had to stay out of things like that. So that was a way of teaching us as well.
Yes. I mean, and like you said, the serious part of it is the oral history. I mean, a lot of stuff was taught and said to us, but of course, it was done in a way that. I guess you said children knew their place. It was a situation where, you know what you could and couldn't do,
write.
And what you could and couldn't say, and
you had
where
to
you
stay
could
out of
and
it.
couldn't go. Yes,
there was this,
that,
man. There was this level of social control, somewhat. So when you talk about values, about attitudes, about respect, and more, those things were there in the home. They were also there in the church and in the wider society. So that's how we grew up. So no one then is always good to pass down these stories to the younger generation and let them understand where we came from.
Yes, and we have to, because it's a way of ensuring that some kind of continuity as well. You know what I mean? It's a way of ensuring, and hopefully they can pass it on. But I guess they would probably pass it on these days if a text,
Well, yes.
or if a WhatsApp,
yes.
If
that's what they know, and you can't blame them. Eh? That's what they know.
That's how they
children.
pass their stories.
Yeah.
You don't see the gathering no more. And a story going on, and you're part of the story, and you engaged in the story, and your hand on your hips if you're waiting for the story.
Akimbo, yeah.
Yes,
waiting for the best.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
I hope
especially if you were in St. Martin's School.
Oh well, I know that well, and yes. you are correct. You are correct, Nigel.
Yes.
I mean,
I think we're getting a little help right there. So I think Albino is saying is blue clocks.
Blue clocks.
But then Gordon, my dear friend Gordon Henderson. Good morning to you, my brother. Gordon is saying it's Brooklacks. Brooklacks.
Okay.
And Brooklacks is a brand of a laxative. All right. Thank you very much for that.
You took it already, Nigel?
Love Nice also say that too. But she don't know about the spelling, but she spelled it her own way. But it's all good.
So what are you getting from it? Okay, so blue clacks.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Love Nice. I'm saying it. Yes.
Yes. It's
okay.
Brooklacks.
Brooklacks, okay.
Yes, Brooklax.
Well, thanks to Gordon Henderson, Nigel,
yes.
We have to do our homework. There's a lot that
we have to do our homework. We're in trouble. We have to be careful what we say today.
I know. And
good morning to you, Alvin. To Alvin Thomas.
Oh yes, Alvin Thomas. No detention. No demerit.
No detention for him today.
So Nigel, we will bring on our guest in a while, and it would be interesting to find out what she knows.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that she's taking her notes as well. So when you bring her on,
she can let us know how the stories are being told today. Maybe they have a different way of telling their stories.
Well, of course.
So we'll find out all about that, and maybe depending on the age, and the other thing, depending on which area of Dominica you're from, the story was told differently.
Yes. Yes.
So depending on what village you come from, then you give this. You you give the story a different, I don't want to say twist in
A
it.
different twist to it, Nigel. That's what I was
Yes, but
thinking.
they had a nice word they used to use for it. You give it a different, what is the twist anyway?
Yeah,
That's
like a
all we can
season or
say.
something, you know. But I
Yes.
remember even
That is
yeah.
it. That is it. You put some more seasoning,
Yeah,
a
seasoning
season
it,
there.
yes.
Yes.
But even back at school, in primary school in particular, the teachers would do that. So let one child start with a sentence or whatever, a phrase, and that child would whisper that sentence or phrase in the ear of another child, and that other child would,
Right.
pass it on. And at the end, Nigel, the
It's
story
a
would have
whole
just,
different
oh
story.
my goodness, just change. So I used to like
That
this.
that actually is a very nice example of, of I guess of gossip, right?
A gossip.
of yes,
Yeah.
gossip and rumors. It
Yeah.
starts one way, and then by the time it reaches the other end, it's a whole different
Yeah,
thing.
and that was a good demonstration to give to a class, in terms when you talk about rumors and values and things like that. So I remember, especially in guidance and counseling with Mrs. Murphy, we used to do that a lot, Nigel. I really remember those things. And as we talk about, I mentioned the slaves earlier, I remember in history class, Nigel, at the Dominica Grammar School. I have to say that well.
You should, you should, you
So,
should.
Nigel, we learned that Africans and brought to us the varied cultures of their homelands, including things like folklore, language, music, and food. Nigel, you taught us that at school. You were not my
I remember teach. Yes, I
yeah, you
remember
were not
teaching
my
that at school.
history teacher or my social studies teacher. But what you did at that time was, like, if the teacher was absent for some reason, you would fit in. So I learned a lot from you at school in social studies and history, literature, and more. Nigel, but you were good way.
I think
Best I
so.
go back to calling you sir, man. Oh boy.
Those were the days, right?
Those were the days, I tell you. Good old days,
Those
eh?
were the days. Those
Yeah.
were the good old days. Good old days. I mean, it was one of the things you always wanted to do as a teacher was to make the classroom not just subject related, but
Yes.
you had to make it life interesting and
Yeah.
share facts and share stories and have discussions, and those were wonderful days, man.
Wonderful days, wonderful days. I can never ever forget this. But seriously, Nigel, we should also never forget where we came from, from whence we
We
came.
cannot. We
Yesterday,
cannot. We cannot.
yesterday was Africa Dress Day in here. I think the House of Nyabingi and Ring Crop organize these activities, and other organizations as well. But I believe that a greater effort should be made to observe that day. There must be a collective consciousness, and so not many people would have won this, and it calls for a greater promotion as well, and a lot more to be done. As I say, it has to be a collective consciousness. But I tried my best yesterday, but I'm hoping that next year it will be a bigger event.
Yes, 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 and I applaud you for that. And I think what it is, I think it's a matter of us understanding the significance of it. A lot of times we look at historical things and we say, that was back then. I mean, that was slavery days. That was Africa. We don't have no connection with Africa. Not understanding the connection we have with the motherland, and not understanding that there is a link that will continue.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And as Black people, we have to ensure that we continue to spread the love. We continue to share the information. We continue to share how blessed and rich and wealthy this continent Africa is, and how we need to get a closer link and understand it better, and understand what our great grandmothers had to do and grandfathers had to do to get us there. So I'm really hoping it can pick up. I know we used to have African Liberation Day.
Yeah, we saw the
a
march
big day.
before, and
The
we used to
march
participate
before,
in
we used to
this.
march through the streets and then head up on
Yes.
Newtown Savannah, and have some nice ital and cultural vibes going.
Tell you, Nigel.
Yeah, I remember those days. Unfortunately,
They need to return, Nigel.
we need to return. We need to return.
I wore a dashiki dress yesterday because I
Great,
felt
great.
that I had this individual responsibility to represent.
Nice,
So,
nice. I'm glad you represented for all the ladies, and you represented for all the men that were not there, including myself, including people like Kofi, who was part of the whole African liberation movement back home, and march that we used to have, and all those, even the late Dr. Alwyn Bully, who was part of that as well, and so all the pioneers, what I mean, and good morning to Dr. Dublin, hey Dubs, keep the fire burning. Keep the fire burning. Eventually, we'll get to it. Don't let it fall.
Nigel, as you mentioned, Dr. Alwyn Bully, let us just say quickly that the Alwyn Bully Foundation was launched this week. And that was good. DBS brought it live on social media. So there's
Yes,
a lot more
yes.
now we're going to hear, in terms of what is being done through this foundation. So this is very, very important.
It is, and it continues to ensure that the legacy of Dr. Buli, of all it will continue, and that there'll be some level of contribution from those who were part of it, and that name can continue to be written down in the history books even now that he's gone.
All right. And Nigel, by the way, let us just say good morning to the folks of the DHA, the Dominica Houston Association. They are preparing for a grand event. I think it's Dominica Heritage Day next weekend. So let us
Yes,
just big them up and wish them all the
yes,
best
they
as
are
they
doing that.
organize.
Yes, so to Ava and Carlton and all the others who are getting it going, getting ready for next weekend. Wish you success in that. Let me say, good morning to the folks in Atlanta, Alvin Thomas and Kunida and the others who are preparing for Atlanta Carnival and for a big event. Hey, I'm going to be in Atlanta next weekend, so get ready for Carnival over there. Connecting it is going to come from Atlanta Carnival, right?
All
Yes,
right.
okay, good.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yes, so Alvin and all the other folks out there getting ready for Atlanta Carnival. Those in Orlando Carnival as well, that's next weekend. Um, you know, um, Getting some stuff going. I know that the Impulse Band is going to be out in Atlanta on a Friday event. Support, support, support. Um, so, to all the other organizations planning things, all the other associations planning stuff throughout the planet. Well, not the planet Dominica, but throughout the planet itself. Wish you guys all the success. Whether
Hey,
it's in
Nigel,
BIs or anything. What happened again
I'm
now?
looking at my WhatsApp and Gordon Henderson has sent me something. Brook
We want you.
Lax. Senna
Oh,
laxative chocolate, for relief of what? Occasional constipation. So it's really
hey, hey,
Brook
hey.
Lax.
Oh,
So it's Brook Lax. So like Brook laxative, something like that.
okay,
So we
okay,
really had it
okay,
wrong back in the
okay.
day.
Yeah, we had it. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sure our guest might probably tell us another scientific name for it too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, Brook Lax. Okay.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Gordon.
Okay. But
Listen,
quickly,
on
Nigel,
CTD we learn a lot.
I tell you, well, we have to, huh? We have to. They learn to
Yes.
as well. So each one teach one kind of thing, shadow flow,
That's
that
it. That's
vibes.
it.
So that's
Yep.
nice.
Here you go. Here you go.
So Nigel, we're gonna bring on our guest, but let me just say quickly though that the national reading competition starts next week Tuesday. DBS Radio is
Oh
spearheading this
yes.
initiative, Nigel, and we are happy that we can do it again. And this year the focus is on reading and culture. And of course, you would
Beautiful.
remember that Felix Henderson was one of the pioneers of this important event, national event.
Yes.
And we
Oh
remember
yes,
him
it
as
was.
well. So there's a lot. We'll start with the first round from Tuesday, and then we'll go until the grand final, and then the prize giving ceremony sometime in July. So there's a lot happening in that regard, Nigel.
Yes, and commendations to DBS for continuing what Felix Henderson started, and to all the kids that's going to be reading. I hope you take it seriously. You might end up here on DBS at some point, or wherever you may end up. It's an opportunity for you to, read in public and to, share as well. So make your school proud as well.
And Nigel, as we
Reading
said that,
competition is that.
the 2019 winner, she died this week.
Oh yes,
Very
from
young in
Castle
first
Bruce,
form.
right?
Yes, from
Yeah, from Castle
Atkinson, but
Bruce.
she was attending the Castlebrooke
Then
Secondary
Castle Bruce
School.
Secondary
Yes,
School.
yes.
Yeah, man, that's sad. That's sad. Yes, yes, yes.
So we understand.
So yes, to her family, hold strong. To the
Yeah.
students, hold strong.
And
I know the
yeah.
principal was probably devastated as well.
Yes.
I
So
know the
yes.
Ministry of Education tried to, help the best way they can. So, um, hold on.
Yeah. Hold on. Really, really hold on. Nigel, tomorrow quickly as well in terms of historical significance. This disaster that occurred in Mont Prosper in 1975 on the 21st of May. So tomorrow is the 40th anniversary of this. DBS documented this. So we went to Mont Prosper on Monday. I did an interview with about 7-8 people, and we're going to run it again tomorrow at 2 o'clock. But people need to listen to this and learn if you did not know what happened when about 30 people died and 8 survived when a Bedford truck
Wow,
went
wow,
down a
wow, wow.
precipice en route to a crusade at the Windsor Park. So yeah, we can't forget.
Yeah, yeah. I remember, this the story back then. I mean, touching one indeed.
Very,
And
very.
you know, I heard part of the interview that you did with the gentleman who was blaming himself for his sister's death. You know, and you know, saying that he wished she hadn't come, but at the same time he continues moving on and holding on to the Lord, and that's his plan. So yes.
All right. So Nigel, let's bring on our guest. It's a pleasure to have her on. She has a wonderful story to tell. You just have to listen. And we're going to do it as we're accustomed of doing it. We want to take it in a chronological order. So it's really a story that speaks of passion, of dedication, of commitment, that burning desire to succeed, to achieve more, to do something that will help people in her case. So we are going to bring her on, Nigel.
We are going to bring her on. And it's wonderful to have connected with her. When I spoke with her earlier this week, I didn't want to tell her how I got her information and what the connection was. I said I would leave that for, for later on. But let me say a special good morning to her dad as well, Matthew. And let me say a special good morning to her aunts, Elise and Carol and Mimi.
You serious?
So yeah, that's why I said
I didn't know, Nigel.
I know you didn't know until your uncle
I didn't know that
Curtis
connection.
Yes,
you serious,
yes.
Nigel?
A serious
Curtis, come a while.
And she don't even know the connection. I say I'm not going to tell her the connection until, But yes. So Abigail Matthew, good morning to you. I was gonna bring Elise on. I was gonna put Elise on camera today, so you could see Elise. So Abigail, Elise is my wife. Your aunt. Yes.
Oh.
I was
so
not
your
going to give you the
uncle-in-law.
connection.
Your uncle. So it's family.
Yes, I wasn't going to give her the connection until, But good morning to you, my dear. It's a pleasure to have you here with us and connecting the dots. We're going to learn so much more about you and your journey and what's going on, and what's happening with you and all the rest of it. But before we get into it,
yes, Nigel, I wanted to get the drum or whatever ready, but Curtis Matthews here, and I want to bring Curtis Matthews on. But I did not know that, and this is good news. So let's show the mic, man, with Curtis. Curtis, did you know that?
Ivona John Baptist Loke, good morning. Nigel and the rest of the fans of Connecting the Dots, good morning. Ivona, no, I had no idea at all. Mentioned the name on the radio this morning after the news, but I had no idea at all. So they're glued. I'm taking in everything this morning. Thank you very much.
Nigel, you wanted to find out from Curtis why he's not a member of the team. Curtis, you could come back and tell us why he's not a member of the old school team. Because I think they played. I did not get this call, so let's find out.
Youngster just disappeared.
DBS won on Thursday night. They won the match handsomely. But I'll be playing the next match.
Nigel, hold that still, What Curtis said there. Let's hold that.
I'm going to hold on to that for a little while.
Yes.
Because
So yes, Nigel. So I did my research and I read a lot. In fact, I saw the information sometime late last year, and it was my intention to have her on. But I think we had a long line of guests and we had a backlog somewhat, so we had to just bring in the guests.
Yes,
but
yes, we did.
It's so wonderful. It's really a pleasure to have her this time. And when you imagine a young lady from a small island developing state like Dominica, a small state, and who realized very early that she must do something, let her light shine. That's what I really like, on her journey, to broaden her knowledge. She is already on a mission to develop a procedure, Nigel, to prevent Parkinson's disease. Imagine that.
Yes.
But before we get to that point, we have to find out who she is, right, Nigel?
Yes, we do have to find out who she is.
Do you want to give a clap or something, a whistle or whatever? Do you have a whistle,
Well,
Nigel?
I was going to give her so much things, but I don't allow her to do it herself. So before we do get into your story, Abigail, anyone you want to say good morning to?
Oh,
I'm sorry to surprise you like this. When we spoke over during the week, I said I wasn't going to tell you anything,
Okay, so, yeah.
Let me see. I'd love to say good morning to my parents, Joseph Matthew and Lavinia Matthew, to my granny and my aunt, Margaret, to all my friends. I'm very excited to be here, honestly. So,
Wonderful. So what we do on CTD Connecting the Dots, we like to start from the beginning, and even if your beginning may not be as long as ours,
Yeah.
but What area of Dominica are you from? And of course, in terms of like early schools, what are some of the schools you attended?
Well, I was born and raised in Jimmet. I went to Christian Union Primary, actually. My principal was Mrs. Laville, and to this day, she's someone that supports me and loves me. So um, I was brought up on a great foundation, starting from primary school. And then I went to the great Dominica Grammar School.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
no, 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 no,
Oh,
no. That's a hold on, hold on there a while.
no. Oh
Abigail,
no.
don't
Not
listen to Nigel.
today.
Listen to me a while. Say that again and say it slowly,
Not
deliberately slower.
today.
Tell us what secondary school you went to again.
I went to the great Dominica Grammar School.
Oh boy, today is my day.
Mens sana in corpore sano. A healthy mind in a healthy
Happy
body, right?
body. Mm-hmm. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, so Nigel, yes, we can continue. The
Exactly.
Dominica Grammar School, you'll always
So,
come back up again, so it's all right. Continue, Abigail.
I mean, from Chris, let's take it from the beginning, though, in terms of growing up in Jimmet. What was it like for you growing up in Jimmet?
I feel like Jimmet was a very peaceful area for me. I was not necessarily a reclusive child, but I was raised by my parents in a loving home. So I got a lot of time to spend with my folks. And even if we had to go out somewhere, like I have a lot of family in Maho. So we'd go Maho, see them. Even when I was younger, we'd go to Teaser to see some cricket games or football games. I used to love going even fishing with my dad. There's so many small things that we used to do that I just remember. But Jimmy was always that upper Jimmy was always that quiet area. So I was more or less inside most of the times. I love to read and write. My dad was one of my biggest motivators to um, educate myself a little bit more. So Jimmy was just that place, kind of that starting point for me of the kind of person I am today. But it was fun. I feel as if when I was younger, I had a lot of opportunities that maybe a lot of people didn't have. I was just blessed to have both of my parents in the household to teach me things, honestly. So, Jimmy was just that peaceful area where I just grew up.
Nice.
And I have so many family around. So I used to go to see them most of the time. So, but childhood was really good for me, honestly.
Wonderful, wonderful. I like that. And you were involved in a lot of the activities there. Were you involved in sports then, or were you more like into the, like you said, the reading and so on?
Um, I would like to say I'm athletic. I would like to believe that, but
I like that.
but I tried netball for 2 seconds, didn't work out. The
Whoa.
only thing I really liked was doing sprinting. So I did a lot of like sprinting in high school, and sometimes if it's sports day, I would do javelin and long jump. But for the most part, I was more of an inside child, so I enjoyed more reading and writing on the inside. So
Nice, nice, nice. And then, so you went to the Christian Union I guess primary school, right?
yeah,
What was the experience there like? Enjoyed it?
I really did love it. It was a smaller school at the time. I was actually one of the first graduates of the school when it started up.
Mm.
So it was only 7 of us, I believe, that graduated from grade 6. But as I said, my principal was Mrs. Laville, and she really instructed us on the Word of God. So one thing I was always raised on, it was the principle of the Bible. I know about the Bible, the promises God made, and it really helped me, especially since I was raised in a Christian household. I know like the relationship and the spirituality I should have as an individual. So Christian Union was that great foundation for me when it came to me spiritually, academically as well. I graduated as a valedictorian, and I remember one of my favorite classes was like Bible instructions and English. Because Bible instructions was kind of easy in a sense. You just learned about the Bible, learned about the principles. And then academically, I just love the sciences. I love doing science and I love doing English. So I feel like it was a great school to go to for me personally. It was a great way to start off for me.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Were you one of those like in a larger group, or were you more on the quiet side?
I was in the quiet side. There wasn't a lot of students to even really be part of the loud group. But I tried to be a role model most of the times, especially since when I was in grade 6 or grade 5, we would try to help like the lower grades, help the teachers out. So I was more of a quiet student that just wanted to get the work done. And, I always had that pride of doing good in school and, impressing my teachers and impressing my parents. So when I was in school, I kind of focused on school. And that was basically it for me.
All right. And then, of course, from Christian Union School, you went to that school over there. That
Nigel,
high
let's
school.
get that right, huh? Let's get that right, Nigel.
Dominican Grammar School.
Tell him again, yeah?
I mean, Alvin, we can skip that section.
No, I will agree with you, but me, I holding my end there today.
So I mean, you went to the grammar school. What was it like, grammar school? And then I'm going to let Ivona talk on that section.
Grammar school was an amazing time for me. I feel like that's kind of when I started to get into, that's my teenage years. I started high school a little bit young because I skipped a grade. So I believe I was like 10 when I started first form. So I was always one of the youngest in the class. So it was always a little bit awkward for me at the beginning, but I was able to make a lot of friends, which really helped me. So it was really fun. I really enjoyed certain experiences I had. It helped me get out of my box in a sense. And I think that's when I kind of learned when I wanted to become more into the sciences. I always wanted to be a doctor per se. Even in preschool, anytime career day came, nobody couldn't tell me anything. I was going to dress up as a doctor. I would steal my mother's stethoscope. I would have a little nursing hat, and I was a doctor. So like being in high school, I got a chance to really change my focuses. So when it came to CXC, I got to choose my classes. So I chose biology, I chose physics, I chose chemistry because I love the sciences.
Are you dressed as a doctor now? I can't see properly, but I can see your top. Are you dressed as a doctor? Do you have on a doctor's coat?
Soon. Soon. I only have a lab coat.
Okay, you have your lab coat on. Okay. Nigel, interesting.
Yes, and grammar school.
Even at career day, she would dress up as a doctor.
As a doctor, yes. What house were you in when you were in grammar school? What was your house?
I was in Benedict Joseph.
Oh, yes.
Hey, BJ, my house with you.
BJ was the best house.
Tell
that
them.
was the best house.
That was Ivona house too.
Yes. Nigel said we were weak,
Yes, yes.
Really?
But we made our mark.
I used to be the housemaster of Skinner when I taught there, so Skinner was a better house. But yes, BJ was good too.
Hardly won. Skinner, I can't really tell you the last time we had sports day and Skinner won.
You see the trouble now.
I let you say it, Nigel. I'm not saying much now.
You let you say what you want.
Yes, on Dominica Grammar School.
That's okay. Yes, I mean BJ was pretty strong in sports day too. Yes. But I mean at grammar school, and getting involved in the sciences and so on. What about in terms of the rest of the students that you interacted with and the teachers? Yeah. How was that experience like?
It was actually very entertaining for the most part. I got a lot of students. I tried to get students that wanted to actually learn. So those were my type of friends. I was involved in trying to have some extracurricular activities. So one of the main things I remember I loved was choir. I loved choir. I loved being in a part of a group. So even if I couldn't sing the best, I could still hide my voice somewhere in the mix. So it used to be so fun for me. I didn't really get into sports per se, except for sprinting, as I said. But I had a lot of friends at the time. Like I used to try to get to know everybody for who they were at the time, and I still do to this day.
So at that time, you had more confidence. You had more confidence because you said at primary school it was different.
I really got out of my box in high school, for sure. I really did. I got out of my shell. So I had a lot of opportunities to go with friends. I had time to, kind of get to know myself a little bit more in that space. Because when you turn a teenager, everything's kind of mixed up. So you try to find out the type of friends that you want in your life. You try to find out the things that you do like, what you don't like. So I had a lot of friends. I had people like Annalisa. She was one of my closest friends in high school. And another girl named Fidel. they were one of my closest friends, and to this day, we still try to keep up with each other. So, I'm really happy I was able to make those type of friendships that kind of last.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Kofi wants to let you know that Jupini was the best house, not BJ.
BJ
Okay.
was the best. I mean, BJ was the best.
All
Nigel, look,
right.
I'm not here.
So,
Okay, go ahead.
yes, yes, yes. So I mean, from high school or towards the end of high school, did
Mm-hmm.
you then decide that, or was that the beginning of your journey towards medicine? Was it during the latter days of high school, or was it since from
Mm.
career school?
Since preschool, I always wanted to be a doctor. I was 4 years old and I wanted to be a doctor because that's what I was raised around. My mom is a nurse. So every time she used to go to the hospital, I would see what she does. I always loved that gratitude that patients would have towards her. I would love to see the smile on their faces when she can even help them with the smallest things. And something about my mom, she has such unconditional love. And it really helps in that hospitality sense. So when I was raised, I just always knew the hospital. I knew PMH, and I just raised around doctors and nurses. So it just became kind of a part of me, and I just loved what they did, and I wanted to learn a lot more. So since I was maybe 5, I wanted to be a doctor. I would always tell my parents, I'm going to be a doctor. I want to be the first neurosurgeon in Dominica. That was always my thing. I want to be the first neurosurgeon in Dominica.
Wow.
So
I
ever
love it.
since then, I wanted to do that. It's only when I reached in state college I really got that focus in, but it was always a goal of mine.
Interesting, Nigel. Let me ask you, but even if before I ask you, Nigel, by the way, can you give me the permission to give Alvin Thomas the merit, please?
Well, it depends
Because
on
he's saying,
what you
Ivona,
do.
can we move on with the program, please? And I suspect that's earlier when we brought in the Dominica Grammar School, so Alvin cannot take it.
No, well,
Right? So,
in that case, no demerit for her. I'll give her
okay,
merit.
I'll move on. All right, I'll move on. It's okay. I'll get my day. I'll get my day. But so you always wanted to be a doctor. As a little
Always.
girl, can you remember having dolls? Were you like playing with dolls a lot?
Oh
And were
yeah.
you the doctor and the dolls, something like that?
Yes.
Or if your
I
siblings,
remember
your close
I
friends?
remember once I did have my parents always bought me dolls. So whenever I had dolls, I would pretend to be a doctor to them. I remember once I got my mom's stethoscope and stuff, and I was going around. I put my dolls in different rooms to go into different checking rooms to check on
So
them.
they're on their wards.
They were on the wards. I had Daubeny, I had the children's ward, I had all types of wards. So like ever since I was younger, I would even make up some type of diseases to say they had. You had the chicken of the salt or something. I always had something to say, but it was just something that was a part of me. I always used to want to do it. And to this day I still do. So it was
Beautiful.
fun.
Nigel, this really underscores the importance of, helping children follow their dream, even from a very, very young age. And if you see that child has the, propensity to do something, as a parent, we need to help them. Because from a tender
Definitely
age,
so.
she's saying that
Yes,
she wanted
yes.
to be a doctor. And look at where she is now. Look at where
Yes,
that dream
yes,
has
yes,
taken her.
yes, and that is following the dream, you know. So
Yes.
from high school, then of course, state college, and you pursued sciences there, I'm guessing, and
Yeah.
the focus became stronger then, right?
Yeah, for sure. When I reached Dominica State College, I had a lot of help from my dad because my dad teaches in college. He teaches electrical engineering. So I
Oh,
was
that's
really
your
blessed to
dad
have my
now?
dad.
Eh.
Yeah, that's what.
So you get
Okay.
now you get into connection.
Mama. All right, let's go on. Wow, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I have my dad, and in my mind, no one could tell me otherwise. My daddy is the smartest man I know. So anytime I needed anything, I would always go to my dad about it. Even if it was the sciences, I would go to him about it. So when I reached in state college, I tried to focus on biology and chemistry, but then I changed to only biology. But that's when I really grew a love for it. I remember I had Dr. Eugene. She used to teach me biology. And even the chemistry labs, I actually did like. So I really did change my focus. I tried to pinpoint what I wanted to do in state college so then I could get the credits. So when I came up to states, I would be more prepared. So that's what I really did. I made sure I had some good advising, so then I knew what to do. So when I came up to States, it wouldn't be such a problem for me per se.
Wow.
Wonderful,
What an
wonderful. And of
interesting
course,
story.
your dad was an inspiration, your mom,
Yeah,
Louvain. Ivona, by the way, her mom was the nurse that was in charge of the COVID center down in
it
Portsmouth.
was, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Wow. You
During
see
the
how
height of COVID.
important this is to find out who people, about our guests. And then
It
you
Yeah.
is.
link,
It is.
you
It
link them to
is.
their family members. Wow.
It
That's
is.
good. That's
So I
good.
mean, during college though, I mean, you still had some fun times. It wasn't just the books. So I guess you still were not involved in sports. Were you involved in other clubs or anything
Yeah.
at the
At
state
college,
college?
yeah.
Yeah, in college, I was involved in a lot. I was in Glee Club. I was in the debates club. So I kind of had fun with those. Uh, College was mainly just me kind of finding myself, honestly. I I had to try and find even like simple things like my study techniques and stuff. I had to try and find it in college. But I had some great friends in college and great supporters to this day. So college for me, I had so much fun. After school, we would all go down and we would just run around in Roseau, go to different places, go to KFC or anywhere and get some food and sit down, go by the bayfront and just talk about life and have a good time, honestly. So, you know, college was really a good time for me. College was, even if it was just those 2 years to get my associates, I was blessed in a sense because that's even where I met my boyfriend, who I have right now. His name is Ellie, and I met him at my last year. So it was college was a sense of me becoming a woman in a sense. So I was really blessed. I didn't really do a lot per se in college. I was, as I said, more of an inside child. So mainly the only way I really got out was after school when I would go out with my friends. But that's mainly what I used to do.
Interesting. Nigel, by the way, on the Facebook page, and Abigail, may he prosper is saying, "Hi Abby, nice to see you. Congrats, my girl." So I guess
Oh,
she
thank
knows,
you.
yeah. Nigel, quickly as well on the Facebook page, let us just say hello to Derek Liverpool. He's saying, "Hi guys, I will be playing in Atlanta with Impulse." So good news, Derek Liverpool. So Nigel, we get information even as we go along.
Yes, yes, we do. And Shirley Jew, of course, is saying morning. Blessings to Ivona and Nigel and your guests. Alvin, of course, reminding us what date that jam is in
In
Atlanta for
Atlanta,
Carnival,
yeah.
Friday, May 26th, Old School Jam with Impulse. Kofi James again was telling us about BJ. Julie Joe, of course, was saying BJ was the best house too. And she's now putting the dots together, connecting the dots together, and so on. We had our earlier Facebook fans that came on. Love Nice was saying it's always letting us know about the Blue Clocks as well. So,
and Jeanette James is
morning.
saying congratulations, Abby. But there's a question as well, and I was thinking of that question later on. But Nigel, I'm not sure if you want to bring it now. Albinwa, what advice would she give to children in Dominica to achieve their goals? So we can take that because of course you went to high school and then we are now on the college, talking about your college years. So what advice? We can bring in the advice now. We can bring it later again. But in terms of advice to the younger generation, to achieve their goals, what would you say?
My first advice is something my parents always told me is to never forget God. In whatever you do, never forget that He's the one that gives you strength. He's the one that gives you life. And without Him, nothing is possible. So that's always my first advice, is to make sure your spirituality and your mentality is in check. My next advice is always to try to learn from someone that's above you. I try to look at different people and see what they did so that I know what path I should take and what path I should not take. That's the whole point of people being older than you. So that's why I try to be respectful of the older generation, because they're the ones that went before me, so they know more about the things, even if it's to come up states and stuff like that. I would always advise people to try to get someone that they can look up to, a good role model. And I would also advise people to try to surround yourself with positive, like-minded individuals. You need to try and surround people. If you have a specific goal, you need to ensure that that goal can be met with people that are actually supporting you and love you and want the best for you, rather than people that would just break you down and question you every move that you make. So I was blessed to have people that really do support me. But having people that have even like a same goal as you, if you want to start a business, find someone else that wants to start a business and you guys can work together. But trying to get certain goals, you need to ensure that you have the right people around you. If you're surrounded by the wrong people, you will always falter. So that's always my main advice to people.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I love it when you see you can get those thoughts and inspiration from the younger people. It
Yeah.
makes me believe that there is hope, you know what I mean? So I love it. I love it. Quickly though, I'm Abby, in terms of, when I said Abby, sorry,
Okay.
Abigail. Yeah, I said Abby because, you know, your aunts and the rest of them say, you know, it's Abby.
Everyone calls me Abby. Even my teachers call me Abby.
Yes,
In fact,
Well,
Jeanette James, Nigel, on the book is saying, Abby is so proud of you.
Yeah, my aunt. That's my aunt.
Okay.
nice, nice. I love it. I love it. Would you say though, just going just overall, right? I mean, even from your days in gymmet and school and even now and so on. I mean, what role do you find like the community plays in helping to shape that child, helping to make you the person that you are today?
Hmm. I feel like Dominica is such a united front. Even when I'm here, I feel like my core is back home. I really do miss home. I get homesick all the time. They always say a village, to raise a child, you need a village. And I feel like it's true. I always had people around me that would help me. And something about Dominicans is that they would stand strong for the people that are their own. So even when I did my first interview with Imo News, I read all the comments, and it was such a blessing to have so many people support me and to show me love and give me advice. So I love having my country people support me and being my stronghold at the end of the day. So I know when I go home, I know that I'm going to have that support. So I'm glad I was raised the way I was. I was glad I had a great church also. I went to Kenful Gospel Mission, and you know they always have that church family. So I was blessed to have such good youth around me and older people I could look up to. So it was something about home kind of helps you realize, even like the smallest things, you remember your beginnings. So I never forget that I'm from Dominica. Anyone asked me, I would tell them, I'm from Dominica. I'm not from Dominican Republic. I'm from the Commonwealth of Dominica. I have pride in that. You know, there's something about being from the islands that Americans are not going to get. You have that understanding of your core. You have that culture that nobody else has. So being from Dominica and coming upstate, I just bring it along with me. I love having that understanding that I'm from somewhere else, and I have my country people that support me and love me. And, you know, they help shape me to be who I am now, in a sense. I love getting advice from people, even at a younger age. Everyone would ask me certain questions, or I would ask certain questions. And then they would be okay with, you know, answering the questions, especially the older generation. Because I love hearing stories about back in the day. I always wish I was from back in the day. You know, when
Listen to Nigel and myself early on, right?
back in the day seemed to be a lot more fun than now. You know, when you had that community, when everyone used to be on the road having a good time, you used to go by the river and get mangoes, you know. My dad and mom always tell me stories about back in the day, and I'm like, that sounds like actual fun. So I kind of do wish I was back in that era, but it's okay. The stories can suffice.
No, well, you will have your time to tell others about back in your day, and they probably that's a lot of fun too. So you know what I mean. To them, it might be fun in terms of using the phones and all the other gadgets and social media and everything
I'm
else.
expecting it.
Yes,
There's younger children now, they look at me as if I'm old, and I'm like, I'm only 21, guys. I don't feel I'm not that old.
The young people, the world is your oyster, obviously.
Oh, yes.
Nigel, let me just say, Alvin is saying great advice, Abby. Albinois, one of our regulars as well, he's saying, wow, your parents did a great job. Yes, Tina 18 Nation was saying, good advice, never give up on your dreams.
Oh,
Andrew
thank you.
Shakil Dekwan is saying, congrats, Abby, really an inspiration to us all. And
Thank
Schultz
you.
Joe is saying, Maho is proud of you, great job. So, really encouraging words there already. So,
Yes.
Nigel, yes, so we are here now. She left college. We spoke about
Yes.
her college days, obviously. We spoke about the community raising the child, her primary school days, and earlier the involvement of the church and the elders. So we are moving on, Nigel. We have already painted a pretty picture of who she is really. There's a lot that we still want you to know as you speak with young Abigail Matthew, and you will realize where this young lady is already, even at this, you can say, a tender age, what she has already done and what she, aspires to do. So there's a lot that, Nigel, we have to learn from her. So Abby, you left Dominica and you went straight to college, to university
Yes.
after, or did you work a year or a few months in Dominica, or you just went straight? You just continued with your education one time?
I graduated, I believe, in June of 2019. And after that, I did get a job for like just that couple months. I believe it was like 6 months or so. I worked in the Ministry of Education for a little bit. So I did that. And then the next year, actually that same year in December, I left and went to America. So I stayed by my aunt for Christmas and New Year's. And then in 2020, I went to university. So I went in January.
Okay, so what was it like for you when you got there? You may have visited earlier, of course, maybe summertime or
Hmm.
whatever, but at that time you were going to spend a longer period. How did you
Yeah,
adjust? What was school life like?
it's always kind of a culture shock when you go to another place. So when I came here, I already came to America before, but having that idea that I'm going to be here much longer and I'm going to be here on my own. So it's kind of an idea where I have to kind of mentally prepare myself. But I came here. When I came to Texas, first of all, in my mind, I was like, Texas is going to be hot. It's going to be humid. As soon as I exit the plane, the cold breeze hit me. I could see my breath. I was like, I'm not prepared. So I was blessed though. When I came up, my mom came up with me, and my brother is actually here as well. So I actually kind of went to school with a small family. I have my brother, his name is Asher, and I had two cousins. I have Shane and I had Elisa. So we went up. Elisa was here before us, but when we came up, my mom came with us. So that first time, I think it was that first week, she kind of helped me and my brother get settled in.
Adjust.
She cooked a little bit of food. She tried to get us prepared, let us know that she loves us and she supports us. And she didn't just drop us down, which I'm really happy about, because I don't know if I could have survived that first week without having some ideas. But my school actually has a GEO office, so it's a global education office. So they deal with international students. So the students here, other international students here, came to pick us up at the airport. They brought me to the bank. They brought me to get my phone plans. So I had a lot of help in the beginning, but at the same time, it was still kind of stressful because I had to get that mentality. I'm going to be on my own. I have to be ready. I have to be prepared for anything. I need to ensure that all my principles that I was taught, everything that I know, did not get moved or swayed by anything here. So when I came up here, I really tried to call home a lot. And I really tried to just prepare myself for the rest of the time here. But I feel as if I have it all down packed now. It's been like 3-4 years. So I feel much better now. I know who I am, I know where I'm from, and I know what I want to do. So coming up to States was kind of a culture shock at the beginning, but now that I've been here for so long, I've learned so much. So I'm okay now, for sure.
All right. And of course, you have a lot of friends you have made, and even friends from Dominica, I guess you would have met up there.
Yes, I did make some friends up here from Dominica. I have this friend, her name is Francine Pasco. She's one of my closest friends here. She's from Marigot. I have also some friends from the Bahamas. His name is Jabez and Miguel and Terrell. I made so many friends up here. So they are actually one of my greatest support systems here for sure as well. They helped me through the thick and the thins. So I was so blessed to have them. But, I learned so much when I came up here, especially when it came to that international side of things. I met so many people from different islands, St. Lucia, Antigua. There were so many people, and I learned so much about their culture as well. Because even if we're all from the Caribbean, we all have different cultures. So I was really blessed to have them, honestly.
Interesting. I want to find out what you are pursuing currently, but before I say that, let me just give you an idea as to what people are seeing. I know you'll see it for yourself, of course, but it's always good to make that connection with, people on Facebook as well. So Antonelia Doctrove, and Antonelia Doctrove is your aunt.
Yes.
So you know that, your aunt, yeah. She's saying, great
Yes.
job, Abby. The sky is your limit. Keep striving. There's another regular, Dissima Roye. She says that you are 21 and you speak like you are 41. So very mature young lady. She's saying congratulations. Shervin Dominic is saying congratulations to you, Abby. You're a hard-working young lady. Stay focused. There's also good advice coming from Sonia Williams. And Sonia Williams is saying, congratulations, young lady. I can hear the maturity for such a young age. And that is true. I can hear it myself. Continued success to you. And, yes. And she's saying, good program from Nigel and myself. And Agnes Benjamin is saying, Abby, give God the praise. Proud of you. Alvin Thomas is saying, wow, you sound so mature and intelligent. Congratulations to you. A definite role model to other young people. So let us continue. Nigel?
Yes. Dominic I take forward.
Oh, okay. But Nigel?
Yeah, Dominic take forward, but I back on.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a real inspiration. The fact that Abby's been able to share the information with us and share it in such a manner in which others can gravitate towards it and learn from it and be inspired by it and everything else. So you're here in the States.
Yes.
And you are pursuing some other, we're going to find out about that.
Yeah.
But once you go out to the States, though, I know you might have mentioned it was, it was a culture shock. But you've been able to work yourself through it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
And now that you're here, when you came here, you came for studies. First of all, where are you studying right now?
I'm currently in Texas. I'm at Western State University. I'm focusing on pre-medication, so I have a major in biology and a minor in chemistry.
Excellent. And that's continuing to follow that dream.
Exactly, yeah.
What was that? Was it difficult? The classes, were they difficult, or were they just usual?
I would say, honestly, doing work back home is much more difficult than doing work up here, actually. Because up here, I feel like the system tries to make it so that people can pass the classes. So everything is mainly multiple choice. But there are a lot of dense information. I feel like that's the difference. The test taking is a little bit different, but the amount of information is much more dense here than back home. But I will say that back home really prepared me for up here, because the curriculum we have back home is a lot more intense than what we have up here. So the only thing that comes into context is the amount of credits you do. So if you do maybe 15, 19 credits, then it'll be much more difficult for you because you have so many different subjects to kind of focus on. But back home, you more or less had, certain information, certain classes that you had to take. And then the test would come and you would prepare yourself for that one test. But here in America, they have exams. So every couple weeks, you have exams. Exam 1, 2, 3, and maybe a final exam. So it's not necessarily like back home. But I was really happy that when I came up here, I kind of found my studying technique. So I wish I knew it from back then, but I do know it now. So when it came to studying, especially with biology and chemistry, there's a lot of information. It's really, really dense. So you kind of have to learn how to schedule your time to understand the information, and you need to find the right technique for yourself when it comes to studying those type of subjects. So I was just happy I kind of found it.
What technique have you used?
Well, my technique
Or you want to
is,
keep it you want to keep it to yourself?
oh no,
I have a
I
feeling
think
she'll
it could
share it.
actually help people.
Yeah.
I think it could help people. What I would do is that in classes you have lectures, and the lecturers, they more or less don't necessarily care whether you're there or not, unless it's attendance. But what I would do is that I would have two separate books. I would have one for notes in the class, and then one for actual in-depth notes I would take when I actually study with the textbook. So I'd go into class, I would record the lecture, write the notes, come back, listen to the lecture again, and read the textbook with it and fit in the notes where it has to come in.
I like that,
So,
Nigel. You learn better this way. The methodology. I like this. I
yeah,
really
the
like this.
repetitiveness really
Yes.
helps. Once you
Yes.
hear it over and over again and you write
Yes.
it over and over
Oh,
again, it's
yes.
going to stick much better. So that's what I did, especially with biology, things like comparative anatomy, when you have to learn the muscles and the bones, or things like biochemistry, when you have to learn all the pathways, or you have to learn the different structures in organic chemistry. The repetitiveness really helps. So I learned how to do it now. I didn't really know it back then, but I'm happy I know it now. So then everything kind of sticks now. So that's what has been keeping my GPA up to make me an honest student, honestly.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love it. I love it. In fact that you can share what has worked for you, and hopefully it inspires someone else to
That's
utilize that.
wonderful.
Yes.
And in fact, I read somewhere when I was doing my research, I read somewhere that you felt like you were not smart enough to take on that major responsibility that you're taking on right now.
Yeah. I remember when I was in state college, I was doing bio and chemistry, but the only thing I could really get my hands on was the lab. I loved doing the techniques of it. I had the skills, but when it came to the lecture, it was always kind of a blur. I didn't really feel as if I was getting the amount of education I needed from it, honestly. So chemistry lectures was kind of a blur for me, but it's only when I came up here, the teachers, you get advisors that help you with your specific subject. So I had this advisor, his name was Dr. Hansen, and he was also my organic chemistry teacher. So when I came up here, he really helped me with my chemistry. So I would go to tutoring, I would look up things on YouTube, I would try to put myself into that mind frame. So when I started research, I wasn't too sure if I had enough chemistry background for it, but my mentor who is helping me with my research, his name is Dr. Liang. He was actually my biochemistry teacher. So every time I would do something and I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm going to get these concentrations right, he would just come and whisper in my ear, first of all, you were my student. I know you know the information. I taught you the information. And I feel as if he had a lot of faith in me, and that's what helped me a lot. So once I felt as if my professor had faith in me, I just had to learn to have faith in myself.
Wow.
So coming up here, I really did focus on chemistry a lot more. So it really did help me with my research for sure.
Strong advice there, Nigel. Let me just go back to the Facebook quickly. Jacinta Banis is saying great program. To Nigel and myself, Rosamond Ishmael, I've known Abby from a tender age, living in Jimmet, brought up well by her parents. Congrats, Abby. Dominica is proud of you. May the Lord continue to bless you in your studies. Your aunt as well, Caril Levy, outstanding young lady, she's saying. Abby is such an inspiration, amazing. And Alvin Wise asking, will you be coming back home when you become a doctor? But that is something we want to answer a little later on. All right. Nigel,
Yes.
but Nigel, I'm not seeing you.
You not seen me?
No, I was
Nigel's
seeing him.
hiding right now.
Nigel, you cried,
hiding?
man. And you just
Yes,
decided to block.
Well, come you not seeing
I'm not
me?
seeing Nigel. I was seeing you,
I
Nigel,
seen you.
before.
I seen you. I seen Abby. I don't know.
Nigel, we have to fix this because I'm not seeing you.
Yes, we have to fix this because you need to see me.
But Abby, let me ask you, Abigail, Dr. Abigail, who are some of the people that you look up to? Whose story do you look to for inspiration? I know you mentioned a lot of names, but especially now at this juncture in what you're doing in your studies, in your research, who are some of the people that you look up to?
Someone I always used to say his name is Dr. Dale Dangoben.
Yeah, he was a past guest.
He was born in Dominica, and now he's actually a trauma surgeon overseas. So and he writes a lot of books. I only realized that a couple of days ago. He wrote a lot of books. But I always find it interesting to see that I can do this because he did it. If he can leave from Dominic and come upstairs and become a top trauma surgeon, I can do it too. So I always kind of try to look up at his story and see what he did. I hope one day I can always reach out to him and ask him for ideas. I know he went to Penn State University of Medicine, so I'm hoping maybe one day I can even go to there, like he did. I also just look up to my mom, as I said before, because she was a nurse. She knows more about medicine than I do. So anytime I have questions about my sciences or anything, I will go to her about it, ask her some questions and pick her brain and see what she can do. But for sure, my mom and Dale Dangleben.
I want to go to the
Wonderful.
Parkinson's disease and all of that, but I just want
Mm-hmm.
to ask, is there a specific reason why you aspire to be a neurosurgeon? I know earlier you said you wanted to be a doctor from a very early age. You realized that that this
Mm-hmm.
was your calling. But in terms of being a neurosurgeon, is there a specific reason why you chose this?
Yes, I think when I was younger, I used to just say neurosurgeon because it just sounded cool. But it's only after a while I realized what it really entailed. And I always found the brain to be so interesting because the brain is one of the main functionalities of the body. And I love the complexity of it. I love not only the physicality of it, but also the introspects, like knowing about the diseases, even things like depression and knowing things about those how outside things can affect the brain. I love to know about that. So even when I was younger, I wanted to know more about the brain. I wanted to know how it helps with the body. And I feel like the brain is such a mysterious organ. I feel like there's so many things that goes on with the brain that a lot of people just don't know. So I wanted to kind of, go on that uncharted territory and try to figure out those certain things. I always wanted to try and figure out something when it came to the brain. So that was kind of my goal. I wanted to find something. So I kind of just rolled with that. And I knew more I learned about the brain, about its abilities, the more I got interested in it. And I kind of like challenges in a sense. So the brain neurosurgery is one of the hardest surgeries there is. So I wanted to do it since I was younger, and I still want to do it to this day. So it started off as me just being like, I want to be a neurosurgeon. But after a while, I actually learned what neurosurgery is. And it always broke my heart to see that Dominica didn't have a neurosurgeon because every time someone had an issue, they had a tumor in their brain. They needed a CAT scan, they needed something. They would have to travel overseas and get a bunch of expenses to even try to find something. So I always said I want to be in Dominica to help people that can't help themselves. So to this day, I still want to go back home, yeah, because Dominica doesn't have one. And I really do want to be able to help people that would have to travel. I want to be there so then they don't have to do that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. What I love even more is that your commitment to home. Home meaning, of course, Dominica.
Yeah.
That you want to continue to contribute in whatever way you can.
Yeah.
You know, and Dr. Dale Dangelman, of course, Dr. Dangelman was one of our guests back then, and we'll definitely hook you up with him because oh,
Oh,
oh yes, I know that he would love to know that
wow.
he has inspired another person to want to move on that journey. So we'll definitely send you his info and hook you up with him.
Thank you.
Yes, we'll connect you. We should have used the word connect instead.
Right on the money.
Right there. But your medical journey, I mean, it started, and then you found yourself getting into. Was it by accident, or was it something planned that you got into the Parkinson disease and the research on that?
Oh. It was more or less planned. I wanted to do research here at school. There's a program called Eureka. So I wanted to take part in it, and I just couldn't figure out what exactly I wanted to do. So I kind of looked at different things. Like even my friend Francine, she was saying about we could look at this type of worms that when you cut it, that it becomes two different specimens. So I ended up going to different professors to see what ideas they might have and what ideas I have. when it came to their specific fields. So when I went to Dr. Liang, I was telling him I wanted to do something. I want to do research on something. And he was talking about first Alzheimer's disease. He was doing research on it, but I said I don't necessarily want to do Alzheimer's. I kind of want to do something on my own. So that's how we got into Parkinson's disease, because Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are not necessarily one and the same, but they do have the same cause that brings it to it. So like Alzheimer's disease would be the death of neurons, but it kind of occurs outside of the neurons, and then Parkinson's is on the inside. So I wanted to try and get my own path in a sense. So I told him I wanted to focus on Parkinson's disease. So that's kind of how we started on it. And then we had to do more in-depth research on it. But he for sure helps me a lot with my research. So that's how we kind of came to it. I just went to him and I said, I want to do research. And it would look great for medical school, because a lot of medical schools look for, if you do research, if you have experience in the lab and stuff like that, to show that you actually committed to what you want to do. So I wanted to do research so then it can look good for my medical school, especially. So when I started it off, I started off as me wanting to do something for medical school. But it's only afterwards, there's an Alzheimer's association here, and I learned a lot more about Parkinson's, and it kind of broke my heart to see that nothing can be done to help people with it. And it's really interesting to see the amount of people that passed away because of Parkinson's disease. So that kind of gave me the fuel and the fire to make me continue what I'm doing right now. So for sure, I just ended up, finding love for Parkinson's disease. I wanted to find something that could help people that cannot help themselves. So that's how I ended up even starting off with it.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because I was about to ask even before you said that, were you sort of astonished, when you started doing your research on Parkinson's, were you sort of astonished, or were you even more determined then to continue, on that trajectory to see if you can, to help in that regard? Because really, the Parkinson's, it's, in terms of the symptoms, it's usually begins gradually and it worsens over time.
It worsens. When I did a lot of research on Parkinson's disease, it really did fuel me. It gave me more determination. I remember I watched a video of a little girl, and she has a father who has Parkinson's disease. And it broke my heart to see that he was having this interview and he was telling the people, I know I'm going to die. And he was saying that in front of his little girl. He said, I know I'm going to die. I have to teach my daughter that, one day I'm not going to be there. You have to be on your own. So it really did break my heart to see that so many people are getting affected, not even necessarily the individuals with the Parkinson's, but even the family, the friends around them. So it really gave me that push to want to do more. I want to continue doing what I'm doing because I know one day it can help somebody, whether it be in Dominica, whether it be here in overseas, it can help somebody.
How much
so it really did give me that determination.
How much does this move you, though? I'm trying to get a feel of this. Of course, you're in this field, and you would learn you have to separate sometimes, even your emotions, from...
Yeah.
How do you balance the two?
It's kind of overwhelming at times. Even sometimes, even when I see someone with Alzheimer's disease, it breaks my heart because it's something that no one really thinks about, that one day I'm going to be dead. It's something that you just can't prevent. There are certain situations you can always prevent. I'm not going to jump off of this roof. I'm not going to do this, drive my car too fast. But Parkinson's disease is something that you just can't stop. So it just gives me that strength to continue. It makes me want to just push forward. It's really heartbreaking to just see people give up. Once they know they have Parkinson's disease, they just give up. And I want to give people that faith. I want to give people that glimmer of hope that, hey, I have something that can help you. I can do this for you. You don't have to give up on life. You don't have to give up on your family. So that's kind of what's pushing me, honestly. I want to do it, and I will continue to do it until I really feel as if we have found something very solid. Solid.
Yeah. Nigel, this is profound, powerful even.
It is definitely so. And I mean, Parkinson's disease is something that, I mean, affects so many, right? I mean, millions. And the fact that you are on that pathway of trying to find something to help those. Um, for those who might be listening and probably have someone with Parkinson's disease or someone who they know of or who have died of it or whatever the case is, are there in your research, have you found like any particular signs that they look for to determine if you have it and what can be done?
With Parkinson's, it's kind of more of a motor function. So you kind of have that jitter in your speech. Sometimes you have some people even think that it can be like tics, but when you kind of lose that coordination with your body. Early onsets are sometimes hard to catch, especially with the grand scheme of things. There's always a scale with everything. So you can be low in the scale, you can be high in the scale. But people always look for a lot of speech impediments when they realize that they're kind of losing control of their body. That's the main things that they look at. But some people have been trying to get at least a cure for it, but nothing has ever been permanent. So some people will try to inject you with dopamine in your brain. It can help a bit, but it does not. It does not last. So there's nothing. Some people say maybe be the intake of salt. Maybe you're taking too much salt, but there's no research to actually prove that salt is the cause of Parkinson's disease. The only thing that they have been able to really find is Lewy bodies. So that's what I focus on, is Lewy bodies in the neurons aggregating. So when they come together, they end up killing the neuron. So I look at that specific type of cause. So that's how I've been going so far with it. And so far it's been a year long. I am going to be continuing research this month, actually. So we're getting somewhere. For sure. We have been able to prove not only the prevention, but also the reversal of Parkinson's disease. So I'm really blessed and happy that we've been able to get some form of success, and I'm hoping to continue again this month.
You mentioned earlier one of these symptoms people can look to is speech impediments. Are you talking more like of say like a hoarseness, like a husky voice, after a while, or more like a slur, so people begin to speak, differently than they used to?
Yeah, when you say that, some people with Parkinson's disease, it kind of varies. That's the thing with it. Some people, if you speak, if you really articulate your words, sometimes you can even find that you have a lisp at the end. Sometimes you would see that you're trying to say a word and you're just stuck. You can't get it out. So it's like a stutter. So small things like that can be an onset. If you see that you've been talking very well in the beginning and all of a sudden you have this stutter coming out, or if you have a lisp, if your words become kind of slurred, those type of speech impediments is what people look at.
So I'm just to go back a little in terms of like, so we have those symptom signs that's being shown, but in terms of the research that you are currently doing, for those who may not be too scientific in terms of kind of just breaking it down for them a little bit, you mentioned about the neurons and the fact that you can either reverse it. Just that kind of general, what does it mean in terms of that part of the research? What does it mean?
So, well, to begin, we all have what is called homeostasis, and that just basically means a specific balance of things. So there should be a specific amount of water in your system, a specific weight you should have, a specific temperature your body should be. And you have protein homeostasis, which means the amount of proteins that should be in your brain, the amount that's been made and the amount that's been broken down. So if there's an imbalance, there's going to be something wrong in the brain. So the protein that we're looking at, it sometimes misfolds and it comes together. So rather than being separated, they come together. And when they do that, it causes the neurons in your brain to die. And the neurons are just like the parts of your brain that helps to communicate with each other. They send the signals. So when the neuron dies, the signal is not going to be able to pass. So what we're looking at is, we know what causes the Parkinson's disease is when those proteins come together. but how can we prevent it or reverse it? So I'm looking into this specific protein chaperone that helps other proteins fold properly. So this protein chaperone is going to be able to go in and reverse those clumps that came together, basically. And even if maybe if you know you have Parkinson's disease in the family, sometimes it can be passed down. Then if you know that, you can get an early onset. So if you have that protein chaperone in you, then it can prevent those proteins from coming together in the first place. So that's what we're really looking at.
Wow. Avuna, do you feel the pride? Do you feel do you still
Say that again, Nigel.
No, I was telling you, do you feel the pride? Do you feel the positivity that's coming from this young lady here?
I feel it, and I'm really, it makes me even more proud, to be a Dominican, Nigel, because as I said earlier, when you look at this young lady coming from, a small island, and look at what she's doing, and she wants to expand her research. So there's a lot more that she has to do. You must feel proud about something like this. And so a lot of things that she's saying, and especially as a parent, because I too have a 21-year-old, so I'm tying in a lot of what she's saying, into my role as well as a parent, and so a lot of this is really
yes, and I guess I too am tying in mind because my daughter just started college. She wants to do medicine as well, so she's doing her bio and all the rest of it.
Imagine, Nigel, when Abigail said earlier and very early in the program that she had a boyfriend early, well, and they're still together. I was like, what would a parent, so all of this, it's really, yeah, man, it's really.
Yes, I haven't got to that point yet.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And this
and Abigail and I had a little discussion about that, and she was telling me when it comes, be prepared for when it comes.
Yes, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared. Yes. Interesting, really interesting. Nigel, a lot of people, by the way, are still, giving comments and really praising what this young lady is doing, Nigel. Wow, I am really, really impressed. I really feel good about this.
I am, and I'm happy we were able to have you on this program to connect with others and to share your story and share your journey.
Thank you.
So Abigail, Abigail. So tell me, so you work with a lot of patients who are going through this?
So, I mainly there's no Parkinson's disease association sadly here. There's only Alzheimer's association. So I've met a lot of Alzheimer's disease patients. But for now, everything that we're doing, we don't have necessary live organisms to work with. The school just does not fund it. So it's only afterwards when we partner with a bigger school, we're going to be able to use some transgenic mice to go into it. But so for right now, we're using a lot of tubing and we're really getting that fundamental theory going. And we want to ensure that we have those good results for those theories so that when it comes to using the live organisms, we are going to be able to really have some evidence to prove it. And then we'll have our concentrations and all of the information we need for it. But for now, all I've met really is Alzheimer's disease patients. I met one person with Parkinson's disease once by accident. It was by chance. And it really made me want to continue what I am doing. I was able to speak with her, and she told me about the difficulties it has because, it always takes a strain on the family. She was mentioning how she can't even sometimes hold her baby because she's so scared that she will sometimes drop the baby or she will throw the baby away or something. So it really broke my heart to see that. But I haven't been able to really use human for our research as of yet. So we're hoping that we are planning on publishing our research this year or next year. So after the publishing, we are really going to get into using live organisms. So first we're going to use the mice and then we'll go into humans.
Wow. Nigel, I'm getting messages on WhatsApp as well. Last week we had Wayne Robinson Shadow Flow, and he's saying that I believe she will be an integral part in cracking the Parkinson's code, more strength and all the best. And he's telling you to stay focused as well. So that's from last week's guest. But I wanted to find out as well, though, Abigail, how do you maneuver the overlap between social life and studies? Because it's a lot that you're involved in now.
I am, and it becomes strenuous after a while, honestly, because on campus I'm involved in a lot of things. So, like for example, I am the co-director of student engagement on the government here. I was a health peer educator and a mosaic peer educator. I'm also a tutor for biochemistry and genetics. I am also a teacher's assistant. I do analytical chemistry. So it can become very strenuous having to do with school, extracurricular activities, and my social life. So something I always try to do is schedule my time. I become such a scheduling mania, kind of. I would have my planners, my weekly schedules ready. I was the type when it came to school and exams time, I would ensure I have two schedules for 2 weeks. I would plan my next 2 weeks out perfectly. So I know I have this amount of time to study, this amount of time to hang out with my friends, this amount of time to call my parents and my folks back home. So I always had to get that time management going. But, at the beginning, it was a little bit difficult. And it's only when you see that you're faltering in one part of your life that you realize you don't have the management going. So sometimes you realize, wow, I haven't spoken to my parents in a week. Or you'll be like, I haven't seen my friends in forever. My grades in this subject went down. Something's not right. So after a while, I just had to keep practicing with my time management, and it finally came to. As I said, since I plan my next 2 weeks per se, I kind of gauge how I do everything. So I've really gotten that way of life. I have a board over here that has my whole schedule for the month. I have papers everywhere showing my schedules. So I kind of had to figure out how I wanted to manage everything. And I'm so grateful I have the type of people I have in my life that do understand that if they don't hear from me, it's because I'm doing research, I'm doing something that's that's taking my attention for now.
And your faith is
So,
steadfast as well.
oh yeah.
And
So
I'm so happy she was able to put us in her schedule. She fit us to her schedule for
yeah,
for today.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a fitted schedule. I had a schedule for the week, and it goes from 5 a.m. to 12 a.m. So soon as I wake up, soon as I go to bed, everything is planned so that I know I have enough time for everything.
That's the kind of discipline that
Oh, yeah.
is going to get you, to where you want to
Exactly.
get. Definitely. So what's next for you in the research on this Parkison?
Right. So the next part of my research, since we've been able to prove the prevention and reversal, we are going to take some time this summer. So I start May 30th, and I will be going up until July 7th. And we will be just getting solid evidence. So right now we have a lot of equipment at school, but we will be traveling to get some more high-def images of the Parkinson's disease causes and how it looks afterwards. We are also going to be hopefully partnering with another school to get some transgenic mice, so then we can actually start doing some stuff in living organisms. So we're going to get some mice, and the main goal is to inject them with the Parkinson's disease, and then inject them afterwards with the chaperone to see if the symptoms can be reversed. And we are also going to try putting the chaperone before we put the Parkinson's disease to see if they show any symptoms. So that's the main thing that we're going to look at during this summer. So I'm going to be with a program called You Grow, and I will be having to present my presentations. I also have a conference coming up in the fall to present my research as well. So I'm very excited to meet with other professors and scientists and show my work.
Wow.
A little bit nervous, but I have
this.
faith
You
in
got
what
this.
I do. Yeah.
You got this. You're
Yeah,
from
Nigel.
Dominica, so you
Yeah.
got this.
This is really your thing. This is really your thing.
You just bring your Dominican energy and
Yeah,
spirit to
man.
that conference. It will be good.
Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
that's a lot that you're involved in. And I'm thinking of, but I'm in radio, and I thought that radio too was a lot because there are various departments in radio. But I'm like, wow, I could never do this. Never.
Yeah, it takes a lot, but as I said, with God, anything is possible. So I'm just happy that I have been able to find that support system and that I've been able to manage my time correctly. to the point where I don't turn insane. So I'm doing much better now, especially since I have a lot of free time now from until May 30th. So I'm very excited to do a lot of side jobs and kind of just get myself into that mentality before I start my research again.
I know earlier you gave some advice to young people, but I want to come back with this. Especially at this time, you have commencement exercises going on, school living, graduation ceremonies. What is your advice generally?
Ooh.
Especially at this time.
Generally,
Students are not sure what they should do, if they should continue their studies or go find work. What would you advise?
I think my advice would always be just to never give up. If you have a specific goal, you have an idea, you want to start a business, you want to do something, you want to go get some more education, just don't stop yourself. Try to find alternatives. Because there's always going to be certain obstacles in the road, whether it be finances, whether it be your social life, whether it be something back home with your family. There's always going to be something. So I think just having that understanding that this is your life. At the end of the day, you need to do what's best for you. If this is something that you really want to do, just don't give up on it. You want to start a business, don't give up on it. So especially if you want to come overseas, I would say ensure that you have all your documents in check. You want to come overseas, ensure that you know everything, and try to get the cultural sense of things. Know that what you need, if you know this, your social security. If you want to come upstairs, ensure you have your visa in check. Especially if it's students that want to come overseas to study, ensure that one, your grades are good. Ensure that you have an idea of what you want to do. Because a lot of students come up here and they don't necessarily have a major, they're just indecisive about it. And that can hurt you in the long run, because if you end up changing majors, you end up having to stay much longer in college. Because if you do bio and you change to something else, then you're going to have to redo all of those classes. So ensure that before you come upstairs, you have an idea of what you want to do before you come up. But yeah.
And very quickly, I know as you kind of wind up, is there an association of students at Midwestern Dominican students? How are the rest of the students dealing with up there?
Yeah, we have a lot of students up here. Sadly, I feel like there's not a lot of Dominicans anymore per se, but we have what's called the Caribbean Student Organization. So we always gather around. We have a good time. That's how I ended up meeting a lot of my friends, and I got to meet a lot of people from Grenada, from the Bahamas, from Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis. So we actually do help each other a lot, especially when it comes to school. So if I know somebody else that did the subject, they would give me their past notes, their textbook, even past exams to help me with it. So we kind of are our own family up here, honestly. We help each other out. We have that understanding. That's what I like about it. We can kind of have our little side glances, our little slangs, our little happy moments, and no one else would understand it except for us, because we're from the Caribbean. You guys are not gonna get it, but we understand what we're doing. So it's really fun, and I like MSU for that sense that they try to make us feel at home. So even in the fall, they have what is called Carib Fest. So it's basically like having their own little mini carnival here. So a lot of students like to go to it. They travel from Grambling and from all the other states to come here, so then they can have some part of the Caribbean. They cook food. They have a good time here. So, it's a little sad that I'm graduating soon and I'm going to have to separate from everyone. But I couldn't be where I am without that organization, honestly.
Wonderful.
Wow.
Nigel.
Yes.
I could go on and on with this young lady.
But of course, it's that time.
Yeah.
That time. But I mean, listen, Abigail, I want to wish you continued success on your research. I wish you all the best, continued blessings from the rest of the family. Continued blessings.
Thank you.
Continue to make us proud. Continue to make us proud, because what you're doing is representing Abigail, but unfortunately or fortunately, you're also representing Dominica. So look forward to that date when we can hear the great news that your research has paid off, and that yes, Parkinson's is something that we can now attack in a way that we can cure, if not cured, but certainly slowed down. So continue on your research path. We appreciate you, my dear.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much.
And I also want to wish you all the best, Abigail.
Oh, thank you.
I know when we spoke, you said you were excited about coming on. And,
I
I'm really happy that, we have you on today as our guest. Let me wish you success in your endeavors. Remember, perseverance is one of the key traits to success. So keep that with you. The world is your oyster. And just one more thing, just say it slowly again. Just remind people your alma mater. What school you went to again? Your secondary school.
I went to the greatest school, Dominica Grammar School.
The greatest
Benedict
of all
Joseph.
builders. That's it.
It's okay. It's okay, Malvin. We understand. The Dominica Grammar.
I like that. Yeah. So we'll do it again. Abigail, so all the best to you. As we say, keep connecting with us. We'll see what we can do as well, because we have to keep that link. It's important that we keep that link. You are now part of the family. Yes, you are very busy, but you are part of the CTD family. These are the ties that bind. So stay in our corner. We'll stay in your corner as well.
Of course, I will.
Put us on your Saturday schedule, 9:30 to 11, so you can listen to Connecting the Dots. All right.
Of course, I like the one you did last time with the Mother's Day. It was great.
Yes. So sometimes Nigel and I can really get it on and talk a lot, but it's all part of the fun, the excitement.
I had a good time.
We have to talk about what happened before. We have to always bring that back. That's part of the agenda. So thanks again. Nigel, we'll link up next week, God willing.
We'll link up again next week, my dear.
And
as always, great week. Talk to you.
All those who joined us, thank you so much on radio, on Facebook, on YouTube. We'll do it next week, God willing. Stick around for DG Fun Time.